Mick McCarthy.
Red light. What power there is in life-changing words. This is a true story about life-changing words in the form of a simple question. What's in your bag? Asking that question sets you on the path to life's greatest promise. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. This story began when a broad daylight intruder happened into my office one day. At first, I didn't notice the intruder so much as I did this bag that he clutched in his right hand. That bag was so much more than dirty. It was a colorful collage of disease-ridden stains. He must have dragged that bag through life as often as he carried its burden. As for the intruder himself, well, his eyes, they were black holes, piercing, crazy eyes. And crazy seemed to be confirmed when he announced the reason he was there. He said that the CIA was trying to kill him, that he wanted money from me to help hide from the government. Well, I was about as interested in funding that fellow's war as I was in finding some tinfoil and making hats with him all afternoon. So I told him about the Jesus House and the city rescue mission, but that just sent him into an awful rage. And with a barrage of expletives directed at me, he jerked that bag up with his right hand. With his left, he grabbed a zipper pull, and he began to wrestle that bag open. In that moment, my head said, take that bag away from him. But my heart reared up instead and caused me to say, what's in your bag? And you know, those very words seemed to rock him on his heels and catch him off guard. It was as if my knowing the secret in his bag might somehow disarm him. Seeing the opportunity, I swooped in. I gave him a good firm sideways grip, and in that grip I escorted him to the door and I sent him on his way. I'd soon forgotten all about the intruder until 3 days later when I saw those piercing eyes again, this time on the front page of the newspaper. The intruder's murdered body had been found just blocks from my office. And it turns out that just the day before my encounter with him, the intruder had murdered a local college student in cold blood. That brush with evil caused a soul-scrubbing paradigm shift that affected me first inwardly and then outwardly. Inwardly, it strengthened my resolve. I realized that the intruder hadn't just overnight become a killer on the run. No. Evil influences, they chip away at us along this continuum. On reflection, I realized that I myself was camped out on a low end of that continuum because I had picked up some unnecessary weights along the way, was carrying them around in my bag, so to speak. I decided that it was time to unload things like vices and envy, anger and anxiety, discontentment, unhealthy relationships. Eventually, I recommitted my life to just laying my bag down because no bag is needed to carry unnecessary things. That inward reflection eventually resulted in an outward effect. Oswald Chambers wrote so poignantly about life's greatest promise of redemption. He wrote, so long as our eyes are set up on our own personal holiness, we will never get near the reality of redemption. Being unloaded frees my spirit. But more importantly, it makes me spiritually available to help other people unload. One example of that outward effect. One Tuesday morning before sunrise, I was in a 7-Eleven store. A complete stranger ahead of me, dressed for the office, nonetheless purchased 2 tall boy Budweisers and a Monster Energy drink. And he popped one of those buds open before he got out the door with it. Now granted, we are talking the low end of the continuum, but can I get a witness? At least on a work day, the Breakfast of Champions menu doesn't offer Budweiser. That was a red flag of at least a slippery slope. And if you're a discerning person, you're going to see red flags like that all around you today. I gave that man my business card. I said, it looks to me like you're carrying a heavy load. I'd like to help you unload it. Call me sometime. Now, I've passed out a good number of cards like that, and needless to say, it can be pretty exciting to get a call from an unknown number. I always hope for the opportunity to tell this story, just to get to the point of asking, what's in your bag? Opposite ends of the continuum. The intruder, the bud man. Both obviously needing to unload their bag. Now, I don't know if the intruder got to where he was in life, beginning with tall boy buds for breakfast. But here's what I do know. People self-medicate, become dysfunctional, and avoid looking in their own bag. And I also know that anger and discontentment in your bag can make you just as dysfunctional as alcohol and drugs. When's the last time you did an honest bag check? What's in your bag? Oh, I get angry responses to that question all the time, and that's okay. Remember, the words are life-changing. They'll rock you on your heels and catch you off guard, and 1,000 angry, bruised consciences is so worth the price to pay for just one who will respond and tear down that red flag and unload something. Here's my point. Ultimately, being useful in the grand scheme of things, and to me personally, that means being a power tool in the hand of our Creator. That is where the wellspring of redemption lies. If just one of you will unload something, or perhaps reach out to someone who needs to unload something, that makes my story such a fitting tribute to the life of that murdered college student. Bradley Wanee was his name. Each contestant here is in it to win it. If just one unloading is the result of my effort, then I win, because we all win. So I leave you with the life-changing question. What's in your bag, Mr. Toastmaster?